Hello, folks. Welcome to the Crime Dog live stream. I'm your host, Johnny Fiorica, retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department for serving 30 years. Sitting alongside me, you know who it is. It's my trusted co-host, David Simpson, also a retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department. David, welcome to the live stream, brother.
Hello, Johnny.
David, we got some hot topics. Lately, pretty much for the last couple months, we've really been focusing on what the sweet spot of our bat is, what our expertise is. It's law enforcement, local, state, federal. We got a bunch of topics tonight we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a lazy Baltimore cop, loser, who was making up jobs and saying that he was not available. He was unavailable because he didn't want to take any jobs. We're going to talk about the incident that happened in the Irondequoit Police Department where they issued tickets to a juvenile and that's caught some traction on Twitter. We're also going to talk about the New York State Attorney General's office, Kathy Hochul, in conjunction together. They're trying to limit 2A gun rights for civilians that are legal gun owners and also FFLs in New York State. And also, we're going to round out the podcast, the live stream, with the current killing, possible suicide by cop, by the Monroe County Sheriff's Office that happened this couple days ago. So, David, you ready to talk, babe?
Let's do it.
You ready to rock and roll, coochie coo?
Yep.
All right, man, let's do it. Danny, what do we got, baby? Which one we hitting up first? Baltimore.
Here to announce the indictment of Baltimore police officer Daquan Hutchins on 4 counts of false entry and a public record of 5 counts of misconduct in office. BPD was conducting a random audit when it was discovered that Officer Hutchins had been making numerous false reports of traffic stops in the electronic reporting system, CAD, for at least 4 months. Ethics investigators suspected that Officer Hutchins had been using these false reports to claim that he was unavailable to respond to any service calls.
There is no place in the Baltimore Police Department for an officer to fabricate police activity or to falsify official documents.
Yeah. David, I go back and forth on this. Folks, just so you know, from a law enforcement perspective, there's pros and cons. First of all, let me just say this unequivocally. If you don't want to be a cop anymore, don't be a cop. I understand that there's shitty jurisdictions, there's shitty states, like Baltimore is a Democratic-run state. If you don't want to be a cop anymore, don't be a cop, okay? And if you don't want to be a cop because you don't want to take jobs, okay, go find something else to do. Or do what we always used to say when you don't have the backing, which I'm sure you don't from Baltimore. Don't do it when you probably don't have the backing from the state of Maryland. Okay? Do what we used to say back in the day, David. Take one job at a time. But you do still have an obligation to 2 things: the community and your brothers and sisters for backing them up. Okay? If you want to be a coward because you don't want to take jobs, then this job isn't for you anymore. I don't know if this guy's got 1 year or 20 years on a job. To me, don't matter to me. Leave the job. Flip side to this, David, I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of this. Flip side to this is I get it. When guys work in municipalities that don't have the backing of Baltimore, like our guys in Rochester, certainly don't have the backing of our city council. Might have the backing of Malik Evans, okay, when things go right, okay? I'm interested to see Malik's stance, David, when things go a little bit gray. That's a story for another day. But I could go either side on this story, but I will tell you this. My main take on this is leave the job if you don't want to do the job, David. But I understand when guys work in these shitty municipalities with lack of backup, lack of funding, lack of recruiting, okay? And at the end of the day, David, if this guy doesn't want to be a cop, sayonara. But I get the shitty part of that job where there's some assholes not only in city council, but all the way up through the governor's office, why this guy might be doing what he does. No excuse, but I see working in shitty Democratic states. What do you got on this, David?
I think he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He signed up to be a cop. You work for your brothers and sisters. He's sticking it right in their behind by doing what he's doing, by basically pretending he's working when he's not, so it's making their workload even more. He's putting them at risk, so because I'm sure he's not backing up people when he's out on these jobs. And you don't play for the coach, you play for your teammates, and you don't work for
Good
city
point.
council or the mayor. You work for your teammates, your brothers and sisters in the locker room. That guy needs a punch in the face, and I'm
What's
glad
int-
he's fired.
What's interesting to me, though, David, in these Democratic states, these Democratic cities, okay, again, my main stance, as you heard it, was I agree with you. However, let me just say this. I love how during a random audit, they could focus and indict a cop on these low level bullshit crimes when Baltimore is one of our most violent cities in America. Maryland, okay, one of the most shittiest violent states in the country, okay, in our union. But they always got time to go and do the research and do. Could you imagine? I'd love for somebody to foil in the city of Baltimore, state of Maryland, what the manpower was to see who put this case together on him. David, you and I did big cases like this, high profile media cases. We didn't do these bullshit, hey, you put a false log in cases, but we did high profile media cases. And you know it takes more than one hand to stir that pot. Wonder how many people it took and how much money they spent just so they can go in front of their fucking news cameras and brag about how they locked up a cop.
I don't know. I think they might have got tipped off. I don't know if I buy.
He said it was a random audit. Oh, you think it was a tip-off?
Yeah, I don't buy it. A random. If it's a random audit, it took a lot of manpower. But I don't necessarily believe they're telling the truth. I think there's probably someone dropped the dime. I'm probably not the only one that's doing it, I would imagine. And probably there's, someone that on that platoon that was like, this asshole's not pulling his weight.
Yeah.
And they got led to take a look under the certain rock, and they did, and there it was.
They took a peek, look-see under the hood. Straight Shooter just sent us a message, David. It said, shitty leadership forced him, or not forced him, led him to retire. Straight Shooter worked for the Monroe County Probation Department. Oh, inspired me to retire. That's a good line. Yeah, go figure, man. You know what? We always say this too, David. We got to always... We back our brothers in blue, but we certainly don't fucking back them when they're doing things like this that can affect the community and affect our brothers and sisters.
Especially hurting, their fellow officers. It's one thing when you do stuff and it's negative towards bad guys, and even the public, they should be fired. But it's even more egregious when a guy's putting his life on the line in the car next to you, and then you're not backing him up and you're not helping him on jobs and you're not doing stuff. I mean, that is like,
Well, we had guys back in the day that you had to talk to in the locker room and said, hey, asshole, we know you weren't tied up. This was even before we had MDTs / computers in the cars. We just knew dudes because, we'd get there. Hey, you'd get in the locker room. This was, before cell phones, we'd get guys in the locker room. He's like, hey, listen, I drove by you at Conkey and Clifford. There was a call over on Avenue D a couple blocks away, and you certainly had the ability to come. And we know, because remember, you used to go to Channel 3 and be like, is so-and-so on a job? No, he's clear. He didn't come. Got to have a talk to that guy.
How about when you pulled over a car? Someone's on a job. Let's say it's a legit job, but it's, it was a Berg report or, clearing a corner, whatever. And you pull over a car.
Yeah.
And you call out with it, and you got 3 in the car.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for that backup to check. And there's a car beat away, taking a report, and they're not breaking from the report.
Mm-hmm.
That used to frost my ass when guys wouldn't pay attention to that. So,
Danny, pop that comment from our main man from the 19th Ward. 19th Rock says, we got a new listener, by the way, David. This is your stomping grounds, baby. Genesee section. This is Pam-tastic. This is where she grew up, 19th Ward. Welcome, 19th Rock. We love you. When I was 19, living in the gut, by the way, we love that word. I don't know if he heard us talking about the gut back in the day. I hated the progressive policing you all used to do. Now that I'm 37, live in the 19th Ward, I wish we had cops like you guys in 2026. I felt safer. Awesome pod. Thank you, 19th Rock. David, what basically 19th Rock is saying is the progressive police work, and 19th Rock, let me try to break it down in less than 30 seconds for you. He's right. you and I came in an era when we were progressive, when we weren't taking jobs and we weren't taking calls for service from 911 through the ECD, through the 911 center. We were doing proactive. We were stopping guys on the street. We were pulling cars over. We were kicking guys off of corners that we knew that were selling dope and having guns on them. 19th Rock is saying that don't happen no more. It don't happen anymore.
Well, you know, it doesn't happen because guys get jammed up for doing everything proactive. I mean, I used to, you know, go into abandoned houses. I'm sure you did the same stuff, and many others did it, and watch the dope dealers on the corner and call in airstrikes. Your fellow officers would come in and you'd tell them where the dope was. You'd make a felony arrest, but it would take an hour to do that of your shift.
Yeah.
And you'd have to have guys. Maybe they would even cover some calls in your section to do it. But that's how you'd make those felony arrests and stuff like that, and make good arrests. And you just don't have the time now because of manpower issues, and B, you know, you don't have support from the community when that goes wrong. When you step out with a guy and there's a foot chase or a car chase and it goes bad, that cop is also risking his professional career.
Yeah.
For an arrest that he's probably going to get an appearance ticket for, where back in the day he did not.
And by the way, the flip side to that too, recruitment is way down, staffing is way down. You know, 19th. I'll tell you this, and I'm not making excuses for our RPD brothers and sisters, but like David said, the backing's not there, but the staffing is not anywhere near. You're living in a city, 19th, where the Rochester Police Department, at its height, is down 150 bodies. That's a lot of
That's
cops
a small
that they're
army.
going.
That's a
Yeah.
that's a lot of people.
That's the majority of the number of police departments in the state. They don't even have that number.
right.
We're down what most people in New York State don't even staff. That's a huge
I know.
issue.
I mean, let me put it this way: how many? And this isn't a shot at the sheriff's department by any means, but I just wonder how many road patrol guys in the sheriff's department are actually working on the road. Total, you know what I mean? Do you think there's 150, 200 sheriff's deputies pushing a car around?
Well, David, you and I both know that even at its height, okay, when we rolled around at full capacity at 726, 730, 700 men and women in the Rochester Police Department, patrol was a fraction of that number. There was not even,
but
you know what I mean? Patrol was a fraction of that number, you know, which is a huge issue today. I don't know what the sheriffs roll around at, but I will tell you this, though. At the end of the day, what it was our guys, there's no manpower on the street anymore. You know, that's what the beef is today.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to, you're treading water. You're just trying to keep your head above water. You're just trying to cover your car beat, and it ain't doing anything proactive. I mean, you're not stopping cars unless it's an in-progress call. Yeah. Meaning you think a car's involved that just was involved in a shooting or a robbery. Yeah. Then you might be proactive. But if you're just out there like we used to do where we stop 9-10 cars a night because you're going to get a gun.
Yeah.
Those I can't imagine that's going on.
Well, it's probably not going on because A, there's not enough guys, and B, if I was a fucking guy on the street right now, I know full well that pulling over a car is one of the most dangerous things you could do as a cop. And if I don't have backup to come at least know that they're on their way, I'm not pulling a car over. Danny, let's roll back. DeWall had a good point. DeWall, as he's law enforcement, he said that he's like, yeah, the guy in the traffic stop that we gave the example of, yeah, he said he was tied up on a traffic job, couldn't back us up. This is basically what he's saying. You'd ride by to see if he was okay, and he's nowhere to be found. So basically, the dude that was supposed to be helping you out said he was on a traffic stop when he knew you needed help. And then DeWall's like, oh, guess what? We rolled by that guy. He wasn't there. Exactly. Fire guy says, especially if they drove by a call and saw him. No doubt, county guy.
Well, how many guys did you remember? I mean, I used to piss me off when guys did this. When guys would stay on a job, like they cleared the job, we're getting pounded, and they'd clear the job, and they'd be like, "Don't code it out. We're gonna sit on it." Right. And then you're sitting on it, and then other people are calling for backups or taking jobs, and you're sitting on this report that you don't need to be sitting on.
Yeah,
but you want to be out of service for a little bit longer because you need a blow or need a timeout, and it's not even like that. Listen, if we're all ripping and running, then let's rip and run.
I agree. 19th Rock says the stop and frisk was his beef. I was white in the hood, but now they have the tech to tell a criminal from a guy going to work at Burger King before they ever. Yeah, Well, I'll tell you this. Let me just say something to you, 19th Rock. At the end of the day, what it came down to was guys like me and David worked in areas that were high crime areas, highly violent areas, minority populated areas. So, excuse me, I will tell you this. If I saw a white dude walking down the areas that I worked, North Clinton Avenue, Joseph Avenue, Conkey Avenue, Hudson Avenue, Clifford Avenue, A, B, C, D. That's where I spent the most of my career, 19th. And we'll tell you this, you're going to get stopped. You would have gotten stopped because almost literally 10 times out of 10, you were in an area you shouldn't have been in, or you were trying to do something nefarious like buy drugs, pick up a hooker, whatever it was. David, white guys, I mean, they talk about cops like targeting blacks and whites. We targeted, I'm sorry, blacks and browns. The white guys got fucking stopped. Wait, if you were in the hood,
Especially Jefferson Avenue. If you were white
man.
on Jefferson Avenue, I guarantee you were getting stopped.
Yeah.
100% of the time, if you were white walking down Jefferson Avenue or on a porch or driving a car,
right,
you were getting stopped.
And by the way, thank
I might even
for not you getting killed.
Yeah, and I might even not even do anything other than, what the fuck are you doing on Jefferson Avenue? Get back to Brighton.
Right.
You don't belong here. Get out.
Right.
I don't care what civil right I'm violating. I'm saving a report for me,
right?
Because you're gonna get robbed or assaulted, and 2, I'm saving your ass. So get out. Go back to Brighton.
100%, man. Danny, rewind. What did Rance say? Why add staff if they also be paid for nothing because you say far left won't let you? If cops do anything, they won't. Yeah, you know what? You know what? That's a factor too, David. Rance is saying basically not only do you not get the backup, but they don't want you to do the proactive stuff anymore. So why do it? There's a lot of prongs to this fork. There's a lot of discussion to be had. I'll tell you who's not having the discussion, David. The mayor's office in Rochester, city council, they don't give a shit about the police department in this city, and they certainly don't care about the safety of the community. Because if they did, they would be more aggressive and more vocal about what the hell happens in and around, and they're not.
They're only worried about jail phone calls and at the sheriff.
Flip
and
that, Danny.
They're not worried about the human beings that are on the street getting their brains blown out or getting robbed. They're not worried about that. They're worried about the criminals. They're worried about how the criminals are being treated in the Monroe County Jail. They're worried about how the illegal immigrants that are here illegally, how they can protect them. They're not worried about Miss Johnson's fucked is what she is.
Yeah, and David, we talk about Miss Johnson. For those that are new listeners, we make up a fictitious woman. We call her Mrs. Johnson. We say Mrs. Johnson is a woman who lives in the hood, who's either A, lived there forever for 65 years and or doesn't have a means to get out. Either way, like David says, she's screwed because the whole community around her is collapsing. David, I want to bring up another thing, which you laughed at me about when I brought up, when I got one of these things in the mail. Jeremy Cooney now sent me one of these, okay? Right? Jeremy Cooney sent me one of these. I did one last week. What
are those bullet points on the back?
This is the best part. Ready?
Talk about the train.
Nothing about crime. Nothing about keeping anybody safe. Prioritizing health and affordability. Oh, my God. It's the same old fucking blowhard talking points. Danny, what's next? Oh, Rochester is looking for city residents to join the civilian hiring panel for new police officers. David, this has been going on for years. This is such a joke. Badger of Honey on Twitter. We know who he is. If you don't know who he is, I'll tell you off air. He's one of our guys. He literally DM'd me. He was like, "Hey, Johnny, this has been going on for years. It's bullshit." Folks, listen. The last people in the fucking world that you want reviewing whether a recruit is eligible to be a city cop is city residents. They don't know what the fuck they're looking for. They don't know what they want. And by the way, I'm going to give you all a hint. Those that live in the city, you don't want your cops, your recruit, you wanted them like David and I. young, aggressive, in shape, ready to go out there and protect you from the world.
And wants to catch bad guys.
Right.
Because you don't want bad guys on the street.
Right. You don't want them sitting in front of a board like this going, "Oh yeah, I'm DEI. I care about people's feelings. I'm this, I'm that. I want to hug a dolphin. I want to." Listen, folks, I'll tell you right now, guys like me and David, of course, we were aggressive. We had that sensitive side to us. Every great ghetto street cop, every fucking great ghetto street cop has a sensitive side. Every great ghetto street cop knows when to get on a knee with a 4-year-old and say, "We'll find your teddy bear, sweetie," okay? And then that same guy is able to get up, run in a backyard, and fight a dude with a 9mm pistol in his waistband. That's what we did. Not hyperbole. It's not bullshit. That's legit, okay? But when you got to put together, which this has been going on, Badger or Honey said it's been going on for years, if they're looking for civilians to give their input, David, I don't give a shit what their input is. Because you know whose input I need? Is our backgrounds and recruitment officers who vet these officers. That's the people that we need to look at and say, hey, are these people qualified or not to be cops? I don't care how sensitive they are. I don't care what their love is for fucking minority communities and this and that. You need somebody that's going to go out there and stand the line, stand the wall. That is what the thin blue line is. It keeps the community safe. The touchy-feely bullshit that they're trying to push on these young cops is horrible, okay? It's going to get them killed, and it's going to get the fucking community killed, David.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got hired because my first answer was I want to be a cop because I want to catch bad guys. And that's not what they want to hear. It wouldn't have been to be officer friendly. It wasn't to wave at people in the community. It wasn't to be in a parade.
Right.
It was to catch bad guys.
Right.
That's the only thing I wanted to do.
Right.
Catch people with guns.
Right.
That's all I wanted to
right.
do. That's what got me off. If you had a gun, I wanted to try to catch you. Or if you had a felony amount of dope. That's it.
Right, right. Listen, David, do a hockey analogy, okay? You're a hockey guy, okay? If somebody said, David, we need to know why you want to be on this hockey team, are you going to say, oh, it's because I'm a sensitive guy and I want to help others? No, I want to go put the puck in the net and I want to go smash a dude if he puts his hands on my fucking star hockey player.
Yeah,
period.
That's it.
A civilian panel to vet police officer candidates. What a crock of bullshit. Yes, straight shooter, we agree with you totally. DeWall says, what a cluster. That will be, that will be going, The interviews, DeWall, 100% right. What goes on in these interviews? It's these touchy-feely DEI people, these ministers who don't know jack shit about police work, who think because they have a church in the ghetto that they got a seat at the table. The problem is we've had past mayors and police chiefs, okay, starting from Bob Duffy's era, okay, that placated to these fucking pastors, okay, that thought that, hey, well, you got a seat at the table. I'm not saying discussions shouldn't be had with pastors and people in the community. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't get a seat at the table when it comes to who police departments hire. Leave it up to the professionals. Because by their rationale, David, well, Dr. Maurer, I've said it before, one of the leading neurosurgeons in America, just retired a couple years ago. Why don't this panel go into the neurology department at the University of Rochester and tell them how to do their fucking surgeries?
Right. The medical community doesn't have to go in front of a civilian board where the hospital is that they're treating patients to see if they're qualified to be a doctor.
Right.
Like, no. Who do they go in front of? They go in front of a medical board.
Yeah. You know what's so funny, though? Everybody has an opinion about how to do police work. I'm not saying that you're not entitled to an opinion, okay? But if you have an opinion, you better be prepared for people that are experts in their opinion, like David and I. Better be prepared what's going to come out of our mouths, because you won't be able to more than likely back up what your opinion is if it is supporting this kind of garbage.
Listen, Colonel Jessup should have went to jail, but his speech on the stand was right in A Few Good Men. If you don't know, you know.
You need me on that wall. Well, David, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but this is exactly what the thin blue line is, right? Everyone's, that thin blue line, it stands for racism and cops lie. No, assholes. Look at the historical reference to the thin blue line. It's a line. It's the blue line. That is the line of police officers standing between good and evil. That's what it stands for. County guy says, can you imagine if the PAB did the hiring? Listen, it's so funny. If you're a city resident listening to this podcast, the PAB is the biggest joke. I don't even know why you're not at City Hall kicking and screaming saying, defund the PAB, because the Police Accountability Board has no teeth. It never had any teeth, and they just spend millions of dollars employing their friends. Straight shooter. Let them do ride-alongs and participate in the RBT scenarios. Yeah, you know what? Trust me, they won't. They won't. Just like David, I've told this story before. It's just like when a couple years before I retired, had a hostage call down in Charlotte. It was 14 degrees outside. It was when all that bullshit was going on. I don't even know what these community groups are called anymore. Remember when they brought the social workers out after 2020, when they're talking about it's a PIC and NIC and whatever the fuck the acronyms were. Right. And the sheriff's departments had them. The cities had them. The city department had them. And I went to a hostage call. We were there all weekend. I got called out several times on this. And there was a guy threatening to blow up the whole neighborhood, right? A dude from Hilton said he had guns, blah, blah, blah. They called me several times, along with the rest of the RPD team, with Jimmy Gash and Jason Blanchard. We all went out there several times. The guy kept us out there the whole weekend. We should have just firebombed the house with tear gas and shit, but lovely Warren was so scared of the whole neighborhood at the time. Plus, she was going through all her bullshit. But at the end of the day, what it came down to is we placated. We placated these asshole defunded police people. We should have firebombed the house the first day we were there, tear gassed it, got the guy's ass out that way. Our SWAT guys are more than capable. Folks, whether you know it or not, our RPD SWAT team, David, you were on it, one of the best, if not the best in the nation. Blanchard and Gashlin went to that house. First thing out of their mouth after a couple hours being there, they're like, this guy ain't coming out. He's not coming out. Trust me. We know this. We're negotiators, been doing this for a lot of years. He ain't fucking coming out. I roll up the second day we were out there. In one of those picnic, whatever.
Just the fact that you said that the second fucking day, because I would have been one of those SWAT guys, sitting there going, "Holy God, how long do I got to sit here before they turn me loose?"
Yeah. So I was out there. I think it went from Friday almost till Sunday, and I was out there two or three times. They called me in for this. One of the days I go out there, it was like midnight. I roll up. Of course, I'm undercover at the time.
Was the guy sleeping and like taking naps? Like,
dude, they had this house surrounded the whole weekend. So what ended up happening was I rolled up, and my boring story will lead you to this, with a picnic to social workers, whatever they're fucking called. I rolled up. She walks up to the uniformed cop car, right? Young kid is in it. I forgot who it was. I roll up in my undercover car, right? It was a fucking car that I got from, the rental place because the feds gave it to me. Dressed like I'm dressed right now. And she starts asking the guy questions, and he's like, oh, he's the guy you got to talk to. She looked at me like, who the fuck are you? You look like, you live 2 doors down. I'm like, I'm Johnny Fiorica. She's like, who is it? What's that mean? I'm like, I'm a detective. I'm a hostage negotiator. And she goes, oh. I go, hey, I know you're newly formed. They say that you want to take a crack at this guy? You want to talk? She goes, fuck no. She looked at me. She's like, I had 6 heads. She goes, I'm not qualified to do this. I go, well, they said that. I wasn't busting her balls. I go, well, they said this is the reason why you guys were formed. Whatever the F their fucking unit was called. And she's like, no, I don't care what anyone says on the news. Johnny, we're not qualified. She goes, you know when I'm qualified? After you talk him out or your guys go in and get him, and then he sits at my desk on Monday morning when he's calm and not all hopped up on booze and drugs. She goes, that's where I step in. She goes, I'm not qualified for this shit. But, David, this is exactly what we're talking about. It is a highly volatile community sometimes that we have to deal with. And it takes a certain mentality. Certainly, this civilian review board or whatever the fuck you want to call them are not qualified to pick the boys and girls that you need, like us, to go stand on that line.
I would like them to make it public, the background of the people that are, on that board. I mean, it's always public information who's on board. So I would hope it's not hidden. Hopefully they have some credibility.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Dawg says bring back the pins. Remember the police protect people? I'll tell you, the Locust Club had the greatest line ever when he said, "Police protect people, we protect the police." You know, I used
True.
to bust Pamtastic's balls because I stole this from one of the SWAT guys. I think it was said. I said to Pam, I said, when you have Pamtastic, I said, when you have an emergency, you call 911. When 911 has an emergency, they call your fucking husband. That's what the SWAT guys used to say. The SWAT guys used to say.
Did you say that in your boxers when you walked in the bedroom? Was that like that?
She was talking shit about me one day. She was like, "You don't
Beating your
do
chest.
nothing. You don't do nothing anymore. You're not a cop. You're a washed up guy." You know. What's up, G Money? I love you. Hi, boys. She says, David. That's your Alaska girl. Let's go, Dan. Here we go.
Alaska girl.
Go ahead. Danny, you got a video to this or no? Okay. Sheriff's deputies fatally shoot a man armed with a box cover at a Henry Hotel. Okay. Great video from the deputy chief, chief deputy, I should say, Michael Fowler, friend of the show. Friend of mine. I was a sheriff's trainee with him back in 87, 88. Mikey's still going strong at the sheriff's department. He's been there for over 40 years. He's unbelievable. He's like the Cal Ripken. He's the Iron Man of the sheriff's department. He's been there so long. Great press conference he gave, by the way, the other day, standing outside this hotel. The only thing I want to address, because I don't want to rehash what Mike Fowler said, because you can go Google's it online because it was great. The only thing I want to rehash is the negativity online. This appeared to be two things, one of two things. It was either a mentally ill person and or a suicide by cop. The guy was armed with a box cutter. People are critiquing, oh, he had a fucking box cutter, Box cutter, David, you and I know. David, could you explain to the audience the 21-foot rule when it comes to weapons such as knives and box cutters?
Yeah, basically the distance someone can cover by the time you can pull the gun out of the holster and accurately shoot him. And
right.
I think they say it's like 3 seconds.
Yeah, action versus reaction, right?
Yep.
So now you got a box cutter. You got a box cutter, David. You got a guy with a box cutter at a motel threatening the cops. They tell him to put it down several times. I do not know the specifics because I looked high and far whether the distance was 21 feet. I don't know if it was in a room. I don't know the exact details about that. But, folks, when you have a guy with a box cutter, okay, which is a knife, which could fatally hurt and or injure a deputy, they got no choice but to put this guy down. I'm sorry. I apologize if it offends you.
I'm not sorry.
No, I'm sorry if they don't understand, because some people don't understand. Folks, we don't shoot in the leg. We don't shoot the guy in the dick. We don't shoot him in the left elbow, okay? If a guy is closing the distance with a knife and or a box cutter, we put him down. That's it. We eliminate the threat. Sorry about that. So if it's suicide by cop, if it's mental illness, we're not there. Okay.
Well, if it's suicide by cop or a cop gets hurt or killed, then you give him what he wants. I mean, that's all there is to it.
The bottom line is you cannot allow that guy to get by you
100%.
because if he gets by us, he hurts one of us, kills one of us. What's he going to do to a civilian who's not trained? So you have to put this guy down. So kudos to the sheriff's department. Kudos to Mikey
And I hope
Fowler
those guys don't even think twice about it. Like, good shoot.
100%.
Guy forced his hand. He was going to go the hard way. And
look at what do we say, David? When we take a shower, go to work, what do we say all the time? We're not dreaming of shooting a fucking person when we go to work. No real street cop thinks about it. Okay? My heart goes out to the deputies. Okay? I feel sorry for them. I don't know how long they've been on the job. But guess what, David? They had to put a guy down. That's just the way the fucking world works. Sorry. That's what our profession is. What's up?
Agreed.
David? I don't know what straight shooters abbreviations are. I don't know what that is. People don't realize what cops are dealing with. No, 100%. You know, we talk about it all the time. And David, in our generation, there was no real mental health for us that dealt with this. I will tell you this, though. Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter put together the MCSO Wellness Center, which is led by Dr. Kim Butler. Great app, by the way. David and I spoke with her probably about a year and a half ago in our studio in Rochester. Dr. Kim Butler, she's a great resource. They have an excellent wellness center, which that shit, David, didn't exist when we were kids on the job.
No, I remember being involved in a shooting incident, and I was sitting at my desk, and I remember thinking, I'm pretty fucked up in the head right now, and I ain't talking to nobody, and nobody's coming to ask me any questions, and they
Right.
didn't.
Right. Then we went to Richmond's and had a drink.
Right,
And
exactly. It was
Yeah.
surreal. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
thinking that.
It's 100% right. You know, Fire Guy wants to talk about his guys, his home team. You're 100% right with Fire Guy. You know, David, trauma is trauma, right? We talk about it. Most people see when they say traumatic incidents. Here's a stat for you. Most brains see maybe less than 5 traumatic. By traumatic, it could be a baby dying. It could be something traumatic for the person. The average civilian, non-cop, non-fireman, sees less than 5 traumatic incidents their entire lives. Police officers see anywhere from 2 to 300 over the course of their career. That's why these wellness center, David, they're so
And if you're a city
important.
cop in Rochester, double that,
Yeah, double it.
triple that.
Hey, David, what do we say all the time? And it was cool because when we had Dr. Butler on, she obviously had confidentiality issues. I said, hey, Doc, a couple days later, a week later, Doc, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you coming on the pod. Thank you so much. He's like, Johnny, after people saw the pod, especially cops reached out and said, hey, man, I listened to the pod with the guys. You know, I'm dealing with something. Boom, I need some help. People went into our office. So cops that are listening to our podcast, listen, man, it doesn't make you less of a man if you need to talk to somebody. Go to the wellness center in whatever your department offers because there's definitely something
Listen,
there.
I would have loved to talk to her multiple times in my career that I didn't have the opportunity to talk to someone like that. And I would have definitely viewed she's cool as hell, and I loved her whole program. And if you have any reservations, I would encourage those cops to go listen to the episode because after you hear the interview, you'll want to talk to her.
Yeah, she's a rock star. She's 100%. Kudos to Baxter for putting her in charge of what I think is one of the front runners for wellness in the country. 90 Rock, I used to work him at the house, streaming. Stressful, PTSD from previous job. Yeah, man, it is stressful. It doesn't, you know, David, I'll tell you this all the time. You know, when we talk about things that we see, what do we see? Shootings, cop-involved shootings don't necessarily have to be what stress out the fucking cop. It could be a dead baby, and guess what? That young cop with 2 years on, him and his wife might have just had a newborn. So that dead baby could affect people in different ways. You know, the job.
Yeah, and listen, it's not just the guy that pulls the trigger. Let's say there. Let's say there is a gun battle, and you're there, and maybe you don't fire a shot, but you're getting shot at, or you think you're getting shot at, and you're diving under cars, and rounds are going off around you. Just because you maybe didn't pull the trigger doesn't mean that those other individuals might not be affected by the incident. You know, it's not always a straight line as far as, oh, this guy shot the guy, so that needs. Sometimes, you know, the other officers there are dealing with things that, you know, they were like, Jesus, I almost died. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that go on that are that are secondary officers, if you will, to incidents that maybe when they were there, they thought they were the primary. You know what I'm saying? Like they thought they were chasing a guy, and then all of a sudden there's gunfire, and they go over a fence, and someone else shoots a guy, but you thought you were getting shot at. So you kind of have that, your life flashes before you in your head, and then you go back and sit down, and you're like, oh fuck, you know? And so that's another thing that I hope they do a better job of, supervisors, is it's not always the guy that went bang. There's sometimes a lot of other things. Maybe there's a car chase leading up to it. You know, how many car chases you been in where you see car chases, you see your life flash in front of your eyes a million times. I mean, so I hope they spread around who gets counseling, and it's not just, you know, the primary, so to speak.
And
the
David,
obvious.
And David, right? So what you're talking about, our audience knows too, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a shooting, right? It could be a serious MVA, serious motor vehicle accident, where a 90-year-old woman was killed, and then an officer rolls up, sees that 90-year-old woman, is like, oh man, my parents, you know, they died when I was young. My grandmother raised me. they look at that MVA death way different than somebody like you and I would, because they're now relating it to a personal incident. So it doesn't necessarily, you did a great job explaining the shooting aspect, but we know as cops, it doesn't necessarily have to always
Sure.
be a shooting. Our generation, because it was always like, okay, you were involved in a shooting, go talk to somebody. Never happened. Then it
I
started to
mean,
happen
I
later in
remember.
our career.
Right. I remember I had a triple homicide on Charlie Ave, and they had been sitting up there with the heat blasting at about 90 degrees, 3 bodies for like 4 days. They were
Mhm.
popping like hot dogs on a grill. And I
Mhm.
remember having to put on a suit to walk in there and observe the bodies and put my face down there. And I remember being back, and I was showering forever trying to like get the
Get the
death
stench off
off,
you.
get the death off me. And I'm just like, this is fucked up. You know what I mean? It just could be
Mhm.
something like that. Now, I didn't have as much problem with that, but I'm sure there's people there that day that had a real problem with it.
Yeah.
And I guarantee they didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, but that was our generation, and I'm gonna tell you this, and, I don't know, Kim and I talk, and we share, things since the podcast. She's so effing awesome, but I don't know if she shared this, on the pod. She might have, but that's why you guys gotta listen to that podcast. Google @CrimeDog Pod, Dr. Kim Butler. One of the things she said, she hands out sponges to the new recruits when she teaches. She gives them a sponge, and she gives the example, and she says, listen, your brains and your mental health are like a sponge. Okay. You got to wring the sponge out every now and then, or it gets heavy, starts to weigh down on you. It's a great analogy that Dr. Butler gives. She makes them put those sponges in their lockers. So it's a visual aid to say, hey, where am I mentally? Am I doing okay? What did I deal with 2 days ago, last week, 2 months ago, whatever it was? Do I need to wring out that sponge? Meaning, do I have to go talk to Dr. Butler or a mental health clinician? It's very important, man. I hope our young cops, because they have those tools, I hope they utilize them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in our generation, it was this. It was jam it down, jam it down, jam it down.
Yeah. Hey, what do we say? It was Italian social work. Sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't exist.
Right, right.
What's
Close the
next,
door.
Danny?
Close the door. Don't open it.
What do we got next, Daniel, my son? Oh, what everyone's been waiting for. This is what everyone's been waiting for. Let's do it.
Irondequoit police say they arrested a 16-year-old at Irondequoit Plaza. Officers say the Rochester teenager pressured people to buy his candy and had been banned from the Culver Ridge Plaza on East Ridge Road after previous arrests and physical fights with patrons. Police say the teen resisted arrest, which was recorded and shared on social media. The teenager was given trespass warnings, processed as a juvenile delinquent, and released to his
a young man who was just arrested a few days ago in Irondequoit. And you can see in this video here, police had to put him in handcuffs for just selling candy. Irondequoit police released a statement this morning, and many people are on this young man's side. I'm here with Shamar Jones and Michelle Hockenberry, who took him in. And
Hockenberry.
how you doing, young man?
Good.
So let's just get straight into it and talk about the incident that occurred at Irondequoit.
Okay, so what happened was the manager of Wegmans had came out. He told me to move down a little bit. It's okay to do it like by Ross and Little Caesars. So that's what I had did. I went to go ask them employees. They said yes, it's okay. And then that's when the employee from Wegmans, he still came out. He's still saying I'm still in the parking lot, even though like. You know how Ross is right next to Wegmans? I told him, no, I'm not. I'm right here at Ross. Then they called the police on me. Then the police had followed me when I was already leaving. Because me, I gave up. I was like, man, I must just go home. So like I started riding off. The police following me, and then they just had to grab my arms and put me into handcuffs.
Oh, wow, very traumatizing there. So many people seen this viral video and want to know, what are you selling the candy for?
I come out and do it to make my own money to get what I want and need, like shoes, electric scooters, stuff like that.
Yeah, and so where do you get the candy from? How do you get the candy?
I go and buy it from stores like Dollar Tree and stuff. Like I go waste like about like $40 on it, and then I'll go outside and resell it for for $4, and then I have the small ones
All right, Dan, that's
for
good.
$150. I'll just,
All right, David, first of all, let me just say this. I wanted to talk about this today, and it was the main focus of our podcast. We technically should have done a separate pod on this, but hey, we're here now. I'm just going to tell you this right now, okay? I'm going to do this in a couple different bites of the apple. I first have to address, here's the facts, folks. You had this kid, which I'm going to get into it. My heart goes out to him. I could tell he's either special needs, he is somewhat probably learning disabled. Okay. That Mrs. Hockenberry, I looked into it, saw some
Mrs.
other vid-
Hockenloogie?
She apparently took him in because I don't know where the young man's parents are. So, got kudos to her for taking. Apparently, he's friends of his son. She allows him to live with her, which kudos to her for doing that. I'm going to get some of the touchy-feely stuff out of the way because I do have an affinity for special needs and people with learning disabilities, young kids like this. Okay, he's not a parolee who's 30-year-old. He's not a 30-year-old asshole. But the one reason why I wanted to come and talk about this, social media is literally lighting up the IPD for this, and it's misplaced anger, misplaced judgment on the cops. Folks, you got to understand, incidents like these, when the Irondequoit Police Department gets numerous calls from numerous legitimate businesses like Wegmans, like other businesses on East Ridge Road, they have to address it. They just can't just kick the can down the road, okay? At the end of the day, what it comes down to is you had legitimate phone calls from legitimate business owners saying, hey, we've told this kid, get away from our storefront. He's aggressively panhandling our customers. We told him to leave. He's not listening. Please show up. They escorted him away once, twice, a couple times. Finally, after the multiple calls came in, they shoot him away, kept on shooting him down the road. Finally, the IPD was like, okay, we've had enough. So just so you guys know, he wasn't arrested with like New York State penal law stuff. He was given a ticket. It was like a town code ticket, David. Basically, peddling without a permit. Okay. He wasn't locked up for a misdemeanor, trespassing, civil. Yeah. It was basically, we got to do something. Our IPD brothers and sisters, Chief Peters does not run his police department like this. We both worked with and we worked for Scotty. Okay, at the end of the day, Irondequoit doesn't sweep things under the rug. I know people are like, oh, it wasn't a bad look for IPD. I know on the surface it doesn't look good, but no, what are they supposed to do when you got multiple complaints? It wasn't like this kid was walking down the street, had candy, and some IPD guy just jumped on and tackled him and locked him up for nothing. They got multiple calls from reputable businesses, David. They had to do something about this.
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, they got multiple calls that day, but there's been multiple incidents with this kid up and down Ridge Road. Okay, so this wasn't like he was a known commodity,
Right.
okay, for aggressive panhandling. And he's been directed multiple times to beat it.
Yeah.
I appreciate the kid's entrepreneurial spirit. And I appreciate that he's not selling dope.
Yeah,
but
me too.
what I don't, if you're going to, I respect that she's trying to take this kid in, but if you're going to try to take a kid in, then you got to be all in. Okay, you can't half-ass take a kid in. If you're going to take a kid and you're going to walk on there and be on camera, and you're this kid's living with you, then you should be having conversations with him and giving him some guidance on how to go about selling candy, so as he's not going to get himself in trouble, and telling
Right.
him that he can go up to Wegmans and hit up every person that goes in their place is a stupid idea and a bad idea. And I can appreciate her heart might be in the right place. But if you're going to take a kid in and you're going to give him guidance as an adult, then give him some guidance and get him some proper skills so he can do this in an appropriate manner. So he's not aggressive. So he knows to take no for an answer. So he's maybe not setting up at the Wegmans. Maybe he's setting up, down the street in Durand Eastman Park when there's people like having parties there or something like that, driving around on his bike, asking if they want candy, or going down to the beach. But it can't be at a business.
Yeah.
So, and it's people that get on them. And this about the handcuffs, everyone goes in handcuffs.
Yeah.
Old ladies go in handcuffs, kids go in handcuffs, adults
Procedure.
go in everyone goes in a police car, gets handcuffs. Does not discriminate.
We don't discriminate. David, so at the end of the day, what it comes down to, our RPD brothers and sisters, they do a great job, okay? They do a fine job. Scotty runs a great police department. Chief Peters runs a great police department. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I love the fact that everybody wants to point the fingers at the IPD, Irondequoit Police Department, and or the businesses. People are saying, oh, it wasn't, a good look for Wegmans. It wasn't a good look for the IPD. Look it's misplaced judgment, okay? Because in my opinion, I'm going to go a step further than you, David, okay? Unless his parents were killed in a car crash, I'm not trying to be an asshole, unless they were killed in a car crash, the 100% blame for this child's behavior is on the persons that birthed him, his mom and his dad.
Right.
Okay?
I made the assumption they were dead, but you're right. They probably
Right.
are just disappeared into the wind.
Right. And like I said, I don't know the backstory. Maybe if in fact, again, I'm not being an asshole, maybe they did get unalived somehow. They're not with us anymore. If that's the case, kudos to Ms. Hockenberry. However, at the end of the day, the ultimate finger pointed should be at his parents. But no politician, nobody on social media is going to be like, where's the parents? David, we talk about culture all the time on this podcast. Culture doesn't have a race. Culture is in an MLB locker room, in a professional NFL locker room. We had culture in the police department in our locker room. Culture in the inner city and anywhere in America, the suburbs, the middle class, the rich, family is a culture. And obviously, this young man needs some culture. He needs to be told right and wrong, yes and no. Like I said, please don't mistake my words. I'm not being a douchebag. Because at the end of the day, I know this kid. I could just tell by looking at him. I've interviewed, interrogated, and dealt with thousands and thousands of people. I know when somebody has something wrong with them. I'm not being sarcastic. There's either a learning disability or some kind of functioning issue with him, okay? And at the end of the day, I hope he gets the help he needs. I hope he gets the services that he needs because he needs to be told. And it shouldn't be by the IPD, Scotty Peters guys to say, this is how you should act. Because you can't educate a kid who's 15, 16 years old when he hasn't had discipline the first 15, 16 years of his life.
Agreed. My same complaint about the adults that join big brothers and big sisters and then don't show up. If you're gonna show up and be in a kid's life, then you're all in and you're in that kid's life and you take responsibility and you give it the full 100% effort. I commend her for kind of being there, but I don't love the fact that she's walking with him on this and like, I don't know. I think she could have handled this in a little bit different manner if she's the adult in the room and she's taking on that responsibility. And kudos for her for taking the responsibility, but if you're going to do it, give it 100%. And I think it was an excellent job by IPD because, again, it is a no-win situation. Because what happens if a guy walks up and this guy aggressively is panhandling to his wife, and this guy punches this kid in the face because he got too close to his wife or something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people aren't going to tolerate the aggressive reaches in a car. You're protecting the kid, you're protecting the business. It's a no-win. It's a no-win situation for IPD. They had to do it.
They had to do what they had to do. Listen, I know at the end of the day, it comes down to it's one of those things that people don't want to talk about it. People, like I say, want to place the blame and point the fingers at the cops. The cops are just showing up. They have an obligation to the rest of the community.
And he'd been banned from other stores. He's been banned down the Ridge Roads. Right.
Yep. 100%, brother. Danny, you want us to take all those comments? I don't know. What do you want to do? Or you want to go on to the next one? Oh, cool. Okay, New York State AG warns against proposed federal gun deregulations. Folks, we talked a little bit about this last week. We wanted to touch on it again for several reasons. David, I was on WYSL. I was on a radio show last Friday, their live radio show with Gary Stout. Shout out to those guys for having me on. Super producer Danny Agnew came with me in studio. They're trying to handcuff legal 2A, legal pistol permit owners and also federal firearms dealers, licensed dealers that sell you the guns, FFLs. New York State, Letitia James, Kathy Hochul. This is only a warning to our listeners. Pass it along to whoever. You got to make sure you stay on top of this because they're looking to handcuff two-way people that have handguns, people that want handguns legally, okay? What's amazing, David, is they don't talk about the illegal gun ownership because that's still going to occur no matter what laws they put on the books, no matter how much they try to handcuff legal gun owners in New York State. But I'm just going to tell you something that I learned from that radio show. If you have a pistol permit, what has happened in recent years, because this is what scumbaggery New York State is doing, you used to have to recertify your permit to say, yep, it's still me. I still got my permit. I still have X, Y, and Z handguns on there. That used to be every 5 years. They dropped it to 3 years. What I learned on the show was, David, this is unbelievable. I'm about to tell you. If you do not recertify every 3 years now, if you go past that date, they automatically revoke your permit. They not only revoke your permit, two things are going to happen. They're going to seize whatever weapons were on that permit, and you have to reapply as if you were a new pistol permit applicant. It is crazy what New York State AG's office and Hochul are
Even though
trying
it's
to
your
do.
constitutional right.
It's your constitutional right to carry a firearm, to own a firearm, if you are a legal permit owner. It is amazing, which is why I wanted to talk about this. Now, I don't know where people are, but I will tell you this. It's easy. Just type into Google, New York State recertification. It'll pop up. You click on a couple buttons. It'll get you there. You put your name, your date of birth, your license number, because that's how you're ID'd with the states, your last name, your date of birth, and your New York State license or ID number. And it'll pop up. It'll tell you when you have to recertify. It is crazy. I knew about the recertification. I knew it dropped from 5 to 3, but I did not know, and thank you, Gary, for educating me and his people that were calling in, that they were fucking seizing pistols and revoking permits.
Why isn't there been that is never going to hold? Why isn't a lawsuit been filed? Where's the NRA on that?
Gary,
That's why I get pissed off with the NRA dues, because they should be hammering the shit in New York. There should be lawsuits getting filed by the NRA on a daily basis with fucking Hochul. And I write that place checks and they don't do shit.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I am not happy with that NRA. They can shove their stickers up their ass.
And Gary's online right now with us right now. Gary threw out a stat. I think he told me, I don't know if we were offline or not, but when I was in studio, Gary threw out a crazy stat, like they've seized 77,000 guns already.
How does the NRA let anyone's gun get taken and not walking in with all the money they get and dropping a lawsuit on that?
Maybe Gary can answer. I don't know if he's typing right now. I don't know. Maybe they are. I know that there's this cool. He gave me a booklet. He gave me a booklet that got put out in 2023.
Well, if they had, there should be a stay order. I mean, until it gets litigated. I mean,
it's crazy, David. Is this not nuts? This is why I wanted to talk about it. It's fucking crazy. And what's crazy about it is,
catch me. I'll carry dirty.
But what's amazing,
I'll carry
though,
fucking dirty. Catch me. I ain't giving up shit.
You know, when I got my permit in 1988, it was boom, boom, boom. There's no
one goes to jail. Why would anyone give a gun up?
That's my point.
Go fuck yourself. No one goes to jail.
That's my
point. And you can't catch me. I'll take off like a bitch. You can't chase me and you can't catch me. I could turn the tables on these motherfuckers in about 2 seconds.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And what they're doing, here we go, Gary. This is mostly Ulster County where they are.
But Gary, where's the lawsuits? Where's the NRA with? I've written them.
He just said we filed the lawsuit 2 years ago.
And there's no stay? Like, where's it at?
I don't know. Let's see.
Not fired up at you, Gary. I'm just.
Judges are corrupt, he says. Yeah, you get these radical left-wing Democratic judges. David, we see them here in Monroe County. I talked about this on Gary's radio show the other day. What people understand when they file for pistol permit in Monroe County, I mean, it is totally subjective. I have friends that I grew up with, people that we're friends with, that have friends that that we used to be in the task force with at ATF, horror stories about saying, "Oh yeah, I got a guy, a buddy of mine grew up with, went in front of Judge so and so." All these judges that are doing these pistol permits, not all, I should say, some, are these radical left-leaning judges who, if you sneeze the wrong way or they wake up on the wrong side of the bed, they'll make up some reason not to approve you for a pistol permit in Monroe County and then take away your New York State right to a pistol permit. It's crazy the way it operates. And they're trying to put more and more restrictions on us. Shout out to you, Gary, for fighting a good fight. There's
Thank you, Gary.
There's a cool little pamphlet that he gave me. It was professionally printed out, David. I'm going to read it. It's only about 30 pages long. I'm going to give it to you. But there's an attorney that filed. Yeah, the Gun Owners of America filed a suit too. But you're right, David. Where the hell is NRA? NRA has more FU money than anybody.
Oh, God. Yeah, hell yeah.
And they got lobbyists.
Right. And I just don't understand. They seem to have a presence in other parts of the country. It seems like they don't hammer New York like they should. This should be like one of the epicenters of their fight. It should be New York.
Right. It's crazy, ain't it? It's crazy. So like I was saying, just to reiterate, if you have a pistol permit, the recertification, it's just not good anymore when they give you your permit. You have to recertify it. So that used to be 5 years. Now it's down to 3 years. I'm sure it's going to be once a year eventually. What they're trying to do is they're trying to
every 24 hours eventually, just to catch.
They're trying to catch you off balance. Is what they're trying to do.
Of course.
So Google, like I said, New York State recertification. It's right there. It's easy to follow the Google apps or the Google prompts. You'll be able to see what you click on. Put your last name, your date of birth, and your New York State license, and it's crazy, man. But. Oh, let's see. Straight Shooter says, I freaked out this past year because I forgot to re-up my pistol permit by a week. I contacted one of the New York State troopers I worked with in the past, and he told me not to worry about it. Nah, that's not what Gary and the boys from Gun Owners of America. Straight Shooter, you're lucky. I think he's saying it's a lot in Ulster County, but these people are crazy, man. Ulster County Sheriff's Office, DeWall. He said that I think Gary was telling me on air that they bought like 13 new gun safes. So fucking crazy, bro. Yeah, you're right, Rance. I said it all the time. I think a civil war is coming. I really do. I mean, it's not going to be a quote unquote civil war, whites versus black, North versus South kind of a thing. It's crazy, man. What we got here, Megan? NRA Second Amendment owners need to get out and vote. Thank you for educating the public. P.S. Great hat, Johnny. Support the thin blue line. Yeah, my hat is XXXY. It's the athletic company that supports the girls in girls sports. So thanks, Megan. Yeah, honey. You listen, David. At the end of the day, Danny, where's David? At the end of the day, what it comes down to is these gun owners in America, not gun owners of America, but these 2A people that want to have a pistol, they're doing every freaking thing to stop legal gun ownership in New York State. It's unbelievable. It's going to get worse and worse as the time goes on.
They're doing everything in their power to allow criminals to carry illegal guns because no one goes to jail for it and no one gets held with no bail on it. So
no, you're 100% right.
They're hard on the gun owners. They're hard on law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
But no one loves a criminal like a Democrat, and that's all they do is favor the criminal.
You got it. What a way to end the live show right there. You heard it from my rock star partner right there. That's David Simpson, folks, retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department. He was a SWAT team member. He was a homicide detective. Folks, there you have it. Crime Dog live stream, one of the books. We'll see you next Wednesday. I'm Johnny Furica. That's David Simpson. We hope you stick with us for future episodes. Like my brother-in-law Frankie says, if you can't make it next time, okay.